International Jet Ski Boating Association's World Tour has made its way to Lake Havasu for the World Jet Ski Finals. After several stops throughout the United States, the tour comes down to this event, and young Jeff Jacobs has already wrapped up his third World Tour title. Hi, everybody. I'm Mike Chamberlain. Welcome to Lake Havasu City, Arizona. Throughout the day, we will definitely keep our eye on this young man, Jeff Jacobs, even though he's already put the World Tour for the third time under his young belt. So the real battle here today is for second place. Now, it's a logjam, and running for second place are Victor Sheldon. He's a rookie on the tour. Not to mention Harry Gocher out of Las Vegas, Nevada. Former world champion David Flash Gordon and Chris the Fish Fischetti from Redondo Beach, California. The real race here today is for second place, so sit back and enjoy some of the best jet skiers in the world. Course racing, freestyle, women's pro, and ramp jumping, not to mention a swimsuit competition coming at you from the IJSBA World Jet Ski Finals at Lake Havasu City, Arizona. The World Jet Ski Finals are brought to you by Mariner Performance, the industry leader in jet ski products, by Kawasaki, Let the Good Times Roll, and sanctioned by the International Jet Ski Boating Association. Welcome back, everybody, to the World Jet Ski Finals at Lake Havasu City, Arizona. I'm Mike Chamberlain. The man to my right, now on your left, is Chuck Kuntz, who happens to be the race coordinator for the IJSBA. Chuck, we touched upon it at the top of the show, but Jeff Jacobs has already secured another world title. It is so hard to win a title to begin with. To defend it once is one thing, and now has defended the title successfully 2 straight years.
3 times a world champion in the pro class. A little challenge from Victor Sheldon at the beginning of the year, but right after the tour got started, it was all Jeff Jacobs.
Well, let's talk about the race for second place. That's really the story here today, and names like Victor Sheldon and David Flash Gordon come into play.
2-time world champ Dave Gordon battling for that second spot. It's belonged to Victor almost the whole way. Fischetti, Gocher, they're in there with him. It's going to be real interesting to see who can garner that second spot.
One of the big stories on the tour this year has been Victor Sheldon, a rookie. His first time out in Long Beach, California, beat Jeff Jacobs in his first pro race. Let's talk about some of the other events here today. One of my personal favorites, and I think a chance to really strut your stuff if you're a jet skier, is in the freestyle competition.
David Gordon and Larry Rippenkroger, 2 of the names most synonymous with freestyle, tied coming into the World Finals in points. We're going to settle who goes first or who goes last with a toss of the coin.
They also have what's called the ramp jump here. These guys grab about 80 to 85 feet in the air, and to make you successful, you have to come out of the jump cleanly with your jet ski.
David Gordon holds the record at distance at 91 feet. $3,000 of prize money in the ramp jump, $2,000 of it is prize money, $1,000 to anybody that can break Gordon's feet.
And that includes David Gordon if he can break his own record here today. The third member of our broadcast team is down in the pits right now. His name is Dave Stanfield. Let's go to David right now.
Mike, anticipation very high down here. Standing room only, a record number in attendance, 8,000 people. Incredible crowd on hand, and they're very excited about today's racing. A full venue going on here. In the pits, it's a little bit different. We've got competitors from 11 different countries, and they're going after the world's richest prize, close to $30,000 in prize money. And although they seem very relaxed, if you ask any of the competitors other than Jeff Jacobs, they are out to beat Jacobs, they're out to win. Expect an upset today.
Well, the World Tour started in Long Beach, California. It's gone to New York and Chicago, down to Texas, and it wraps up here at Lake Havasu City, Arizona. We thought that we'd take a look back at each and every one of the stops that make up the World Jet Ski Tour. The tour started in Long Beach, California on Memorial Day weekend, and Jeff Jacobs quickly established that he was out to win his third world title.
The next stop on the tour was right back here at Lake Havasu with Victor Sheldon showing that he was a contender and even taking a 4-point lead in the overall standings.
Then the tour moved to the Pacific Ocean, Oceanside, California, and the waves proved themselves a tough competitor. Not only the waves were tough, but the swells made it hard to see the buoys. Victor Sheldon almost missing this buoy and making a futile attempt to correct his mistake.
In the Pro Modified, it was Harry Gocher showing the mastery of the waves at Oceanside.
But as the tour moved east to Florida, Jacobs had regained a points lead that he would not relinquish again all year, in spite of strong showings from both Sheldon and David Gordon.
And then the tour moved north to New York, and the conditions were again the major opponent. Harry Gocher was again the winner in the waves.
Chicago shaped up as another classic Jacobs against Sheldon duel, with Jacobs pressing on the outside, going wide at the buoy, trying to slide back inside, almost taking out Sheldon in the process.
By the time the tour moved to West Virginia, it was Jacobs extending his lead and showing his World Championship style. And after Austin, Jacobs had put together an almost insurmountable lead.
Time now, Chuck, for what a lot of people call motocross on water. It's the Pro Modified division. Modified to what degree?
These skis are just built to the maximum, Mike. Reed motors, board, stroke, oversized pistons, big carburetors, pumps are all reworked. The only thing about these things is jet ski stills the hull.
Well, I'll tell you, these are the big boys out there right now. This is the division that holds names like Jeff Jacobs, Victor Sheldon, Harry Gocher, David Gordon, Larry Rippenkroger. They're all online and ready to go in the Pro Modified.
And Mike, even though Jacobs has sewn up the title, he's still a great competitor. And earlier, he talked to Dave Stanfield about winning the Pro Modified.
I'm here to win just as much, you know, title or not. I'm here to win just as much as any other racer. And clinching the title yesterday in the slalom was kind of nice. You know, I can let it all hang out, and I don't have to worry about a thing today. But I want to win just as much as anybody else out here today in all the events.
Online, the Pro Modified division. You see each racer with a holder. And Chuck, what's the job of the holder right now?
His job is to keep that jet ski in place behind the rubber band and to watch the band know when to let it go, like right now, Mike.
They're off and running. They're trying to get to the hole shot. And look at the guy come from the outside. Is that Gocher that came from way down the line? As we look at the marshmallow, that's what they call turn number 1. And they clear the far side of the course.
Dave the Flash Gordon got that hole shot, Mike, and he's got the lead.
Let's take a look back to what they call the marshmallow, that first big left turn. And Chuck, what developed?
You can see him coming off the line right here, Mike, heading out toward that big marshmallow buoy. Jacobs and Gocher have a real good move coming off, but suddenly out of the middle, Dave Gordon gets to that first turn buoy.
And it is Dave Gordon. We're back to action now. That continues the lead. Victor Sheldon in second place, and that is Jeff Jacobs running third right now. David Gordon, a two-time world champion, is the leader right now here at Lake Havasu City, Arizona.
The Flying Fish running back in that fourth spot, and Gocher back in fifth.
He's being challenged right now by I'm referring to David Flash Gordon, being chased right now by Victor Sheldon, 22 years of age, from Escondido, California, but it is Gordon who is opening up an unbelievable lead in the first lap and a half as he works the far left side of the course right now.
I just practice 2-3 times a week, and for 2 to 3 hours. And part of that 2 or 3 hours is fooling around, going out there and doing a little freestyle, just screwing around and over bushes, going through some toolies down the river, and and I think that kind of takes your mind off it. But as far as being successful at the sport, I think you got to go out there and have a serious attitude and know what it takes. Practice pays. Let me tell you, I'm proof that practice pays.
Welcome back to the Pro Modified as David Gordon continues to lead with just a few laps to go. The Pro Modified is considered a big win, and Gordon would love to hold on to this one by beating both Sheldon and Jacobs. Chuck?
It would be the most exciting finish probably David's ever experienced. It could even overshadow the thrill of the 2 world titles for him to be able to come back and upset these 2 fine riders that have been just battling at the top of the pack all year.
$30,000 total prize money at stake here at Lake Havasu this weekend. $1,500 will go to the winner of the Pro Modified alone.
Dave Gordon now moving up on the back of some more riders, and there's kind of a pack in front of him that could cause problems for him. Jeff Jacobs has overtaken Victor Sheldon and moved into 2nd place.
Victor Sheldon obviously ran into some problems on the left side of the course, which opened the door for Jeff Jacobs from El Cajon. So here it goes. Jeff Jacobs has been reeling them in all year long, and in his sights right now is the number 2 boat belonging to David Gordon. Jeff Jacobs starts to side slip as he comes off the log jump. He has a little trouble with that far right side long jump, Chuck.
That's because of the way the water is. It's so shallow right there in front of him that he's getting the bounce back from the bottom. He's having a little trouble reading it as he comes up on it. Plus, when David goes over it, he's actually making the log jump move. So Jeff's having a little trouble timing the movement of the log jump on the water.
The World Tour started in Long Beach, California, moved on to New York, Chicago, Texas, and today, the final stop on the World Tour here at Lake Havasu City, Arizona. $30,000 in total prize money up for grabs here today.
This battle out in front is just getting tremendous. Jeff right now is just biding his time. Mike, the white flag comes out. 1 lap to go. This is where it's all going to go. They're both going to let it all hang out.
And here it goes. David Gordon, a 2-time world champion, and behind him, 3-time champion Jeff Jacobs. Let's watch him as they go around the final lap here at Lake Havasu City. David Gordon took the lead from the hole shot at the beginning. He has never once given it up. Victor Sheldon made a run at him. He made a mistake. Jeff Jacobs came in and took over 2nd place. And now Jeff Jacobs starts to reel him in on the far side of the course. He eats the white water out of the back of David Gordon's jet ski. Here they go. They work the backside now, Chuck. Set it up for the straightaway.
Down the backside of the race course, Dave Gordon on the throttle. All he can put into that West Coast boat. Jeff Jacobs grabbing a handful of throttle. Gordon makes a mistake. And here comes Jacobs on the outside.
We talked about it. Jeff Jacobs sits back and looks for somebody to make a mistake. David Gordon was able to recuperate. Look at him power down. This is what jet skiing's all about. The best of the business. David Gordon with only the long jump remaining. Up and over, takes the checkered flag. Jeff Jacobs will finish a remarkable 2nd. And listen to the crowd here at Lake Havasu City, Arizona.
David Flash Gordon, the 2-time world champion, holding off jamming Jeff Jacobs and taking the Pro Modified World Finals title.
Chuck, let's take a look back to the left side of the course where David Gordon momentarily stalled, went down in the water, and it allowed Jeff Jacobs to catch up to him. Let's take a look at this.
Coming down the back side of the race course, we see David Gordon's nose of his jet ski catch a wake or a ripple in the water. It acts as a brake and slows that jet ski down. He gets it recovered back on the gas, but powering on the outside. Jeff Jacobs moves right alongside him, but Dave Gordon has the inside line on the buoy and is able to pull away from Jeff, keeping him outside on that big sweep.
And the bottom line was that David Gordon took it on to the checkered flag and wins 1989, Lake Havasu City, Arizona.
Congratulations going to David Flash Gordon. 2 world championships, but this a world finals. This has got to mean a lot.
Yeah, it does mean a lot. Just, man, all my sponsors all year long have been supporting me 100%, and it just means a lot to be able to go out there and show them that all their efforts were not in vain.
The final key to this win and what it means to you?
I'm not really sure right now. I just want to savor the win and, you know, basically just enjoy the day.
Congratulations, Flash.
Thanks a lot.
David Gordon winning the finals here, the Pro Modified at the World Finals Championship.
Chuck, the women's division of the pro circuit this year has been very exciting. A couple of names come to mind. One is Brenda Burns, who is a defending world champion, and an 18-year-old rookie who goes by the name of Christy Carlson has lit up the circuit this year.
They call her the blonde bombshell, Mike, and she's literally exploded in the women's class this year. Last year at the World Finals, a novice, she didn't even qualify for the final. We created an expert class this year. She skipped the expert class, went right to the pros in the very, very first race, served notice to Brenda and Karen. I'm here and I'm real, winning the race, winning almost every race on the entire tour, and she is the 1989 women's champion.
One of the newer classes of racing in jet ski racing right now is called the X2. For those of you at home, it's actually a two-seater. I'm sure you've seen them up and down the recreational waterways of America, but it's in all basic form a two-seat jet ski.
It's two-seat, but for racing, only one guy rides it, Mike. Sheldon Messick 2 years ago brought out a modified X2, and everyone laughed at him, told him it had never worked. Today, it's probably one of the most popular classes in jet ski racing. Charlie Williamson, defending his title this year successfully, it looks like, has really brought the sport a long way.
And Chuck, something else that helps make the sport are all the classes that make up the IJSBA. It appears to me there's something for everybody.
There's all kinds of skill levels, Mike, from novice, expert to pro, for the men, for the women, and for the different types of craft that Kawasaki manufactures, the X2s, the regular jet skis, all the classes it takes.
All ages too, huh?
All ages, from 14, which is the beginning, right on up into the 70, 71-year-old, the oldest competitor I know of down in Florida.
I don't have any bad things to say about any of the jet skiers, and that's one of the reasons why I love this sport. There may be races, individual races, where you get a little heated at some of your competitors, but I think it blows over pretty quickly. And one of the things I've always loved about the sport of jet skiing and jet ski racing is that the people that it attracts are just a great group of people, clean-cut, hard-working athletes that they put a lot of time and effort into their sport.
Chuck, it's time to amp up for my favorite part of the afternoon. It's the freestyle competition, a time for self-expression, personality. There are no rules when it comes to freestyle.
Freestyle is the wide open part, Mike. Larry Rippenstroger referred to it last year as just showing off, and that's what these guys do. The top of the leaderboard is Rippenstroger and Gordon, tied in points coming into the World Finals this year. One of those gentlemen is going to leave here today as the pro freestyle world champion.
Don't forget about Scott Watkins. He won't be the world champion, but he has won numerous stops on the tour this year.
4 in a row, Mike. The final 4 stops on the tour. Scott has won those. You've got to count him as a threat.
And don't forget, should David Gordon win here today, it would be his 5th world title. Let's turn our attention to the waters off the shores of Lake Havasu City, Arizona. Let's start off with highlights from earlier competition.
Chris Fischetti, one of the flashier riders on the tour, doesn't compete in every freestyle event on the tour, getting a score of 43.8 out of a possible 50.
Then there was Richard Carr, a polished freestyler, finished 7th overall on the tour, receiving 44 points for his performance here at Havasu City today.
Scott Watkins, as I mentioned, won the last 4 stops on the tour, finishes 4th overall this year, and Scott with a good score of 46.1 here at the finals.
But the man with the score to beat today is Chris Crash Williams. Chris at the head of the pack with a score of 47.7, Chuck.
Larry and David will need an almost perfect score to beat Crash Williams, but if anyone is capable of the top score, it's the Flash and the Ripper.
Chris Williams is our new leader, but look out, here comes David Gordon and Larry Rippenstroger tied for the lead on the circuit this year in freestyle.
Larry Rippenstroger, the 1982 freestyle champion, and David Gordon has been the champion for the past 4 years.
And here he is underway. David Gordon goes into a fast 360 into a vertical tail hold and a 360
And then
in
a
the water.
360 body spin underneath that handle pole.
4 times. You're looking at a 4-time freestyle champion. If he can win it here today, as he goes around and around and around, he's going to be dizzy. Could win his 5th freestyle championship here at Lake Havasu.
Up on the engine cover and whips it around 180 degrees and drives around 360.
You know who's watching this one closer than anybody is Larry Rippenkroger, who with a coin toss chose to go last here today. All right, he's up, one leg up on the hood cover, the other back in the tray. Great balance.
Driving the ski with 1 foot and then does a 360 pirouette in the tray.
Right in front of the judges, sends some white water behind him.
Stalls the ski, rolling it over on its side, Mike.
Oh, he's doing the barrel roll. Look at this, no throttle at all this time. He'll let go. Will he stand up on the side? He lets go.
And then walks it right back to the normal riding position.
That was a beautiful maneuver. You'd have no idea how difficult it is until you simply try and ride a jet ski. David Flash Gordon. Nice spin around into the vertical stall, into the vertical 360, or at least a 180. Winding out that jet ski right now.
Porpoise maneuvers.
Way up and way down his feet, actually leave the tray.
And he does a 360 spin in the middle of a porpoise.
That was all timing while the jet ski was at the high end of a porpoise. His body in the water, he spun around and grabbed the handlebars, came out of it flawlessly. Now here's David, looks like he is setting up for the log jump, the far right-hand side, and I think he misses the tires, and he's hung up in the ropes that secure that log jump, and he's kind of trying to unwind from that right now. He's all hung up in the ropes, and as he tries to right the wrong, it appears to me that David Gordon simply mistimed the jump.
He sure did, Mike. That time he tried to jump it sideways, submarine the ski, come back under the log jump, but he got hung up in the ropes.
Well, the buzzer sounds ending David Gordon's routine, but not before he pulled off some spectacular maneuvers. My favorite, the porpoise and the 360 combo.
That was a hot maneuver, Mike, but I think maybe that little bobble right at the end where he tried to jump the log jump and then submarine back onto the other side or underneath it and failed might have opened the door for Larry Rippenkroger to walk away.
We'll take a look at the judges. They're calculating right now. They do it on an Olympic scoring system, judging from 1 to 10. Here they come.
Dave scores all 9 pluses for a total of 47.2. The Ripper has to do better to beat Chris Williams and become the world champion.
Well, the man we're talking about, and he is way down the shoreline now, putting his thoughts together for his 2-minute routine, Larry the Ripper Rippenkroger from Sacramento, California. It's been a hotbed for jet skiers in the past few years. He, of course, is one of the most famous.
Probably the leader of the Northern California gang, Mike. And a little side story, this is Larry Rippenkroger's last year on the entire tour. He might make some selected races next year, but as an active full-time jet ski competitor, this is Larry Rippenkroger's final competition.
He has been a great spokesman for the sport. He is truly a great athlete. His build will show you. Look at the upper arms on this guy. Larry Rippenkroger in his early 30s has decided to retire from pro jet skiing. He'll still be involved with the sport. You got to believe that.
He'll still make races, but just not on a full-time basis next year.
He's in demand. He travels the world putting on exhibitions. He's a test pilot. He tests jet skis for different companies, and he's just a very much sought-after young man. In his early 30s, one-handed. Oh, look at that, a one-handed tail hold. Beautiful maneuver. That is so hard to do with the one hand. His left hand went up in the air.
Then Ripper takes off back across the water, goes for a high Bronco maneuver, pulls this one off beautifully as he heads back down in front of the judges.
And here's a guy, by the way, Chuck, that says he will retire at the end of the year. He's a former world champion. He'll be missed by many on the circuit.
Rippenkroger comes back around right now, drives up next to that second jet ski, puts his foot in the tray, drives the jet ski away. The first rider to ever perform this trick several years ago, bringing it back out of the bag of the tricks here at the World Finals.
Broncos it into a submarine and pulls it out. The other jet ski just floating out in the water right now. Looks over his left shoulder. He's always got one big finale. He may even try and jump that jet ski before it's over.
Look at this, Mike. A barrel roll.
In the tray. He never left the tray. Shows some of the body strength that Larry really has down to the final minute of his routine.
Watch this one, Mike. He's sizing up that other jet ski.
Oh,
here's
look.
the maneuver that Gordon tried.
Oh, and he comes
and Larry
out.
pulls it off.
He side-slipped the log jump, buried the nose, submarined it, and slowly edged it out the other side. That had to be that's the one they tried to do all day, Chuck. He's been the only one successful.
Now Larry really lines up that second jet ski, goes for the submarine. Oh, doesn't get it, Mike.
Oh, that could be very costly, but you've got to admire the man's courage. He'll use any toy in the water, and that time he tried to use the jet ski, and I'm not so sure that he pulled it off successfully, as Larry even came out with a smile on his face. Now he's building up the speed. He's going to bulldog it this time, Chuck.
Bulldogs into a rollover, and that just concludes Larry's routine. Coming back around right now, we see him in slow motion. He sets up for a big Bronco maneuver as he goes under the log jump.
That's kind of a reverse angle of the one we saw earlier, but look how he just kind of muscles his way under those tires. That was nothing more than sheer determination from the former world champion Larry Rippenkroger.
Look at the scores from our judges, Mike. A 9.8, a 9.6, a 9.5, a 9.6.
Just an outstanding routine for Larry Rippenkroger.
And a 9.2. That's going to make it real tough at the top.
Oh, it's going to be tough. We're going to have to calculate all these scores. And while we're doing so, let's take a break. We'll be back to the World Jet Ski Finals in Lake Havasu in a moment.
You got to be committed. You got to give it 100%, get good support, train, ride, and if you want it bad enough, you can have it, It's all in your heart.
Welcome back, everybody, to the freestyle portion of the program today. And oh my goodness, Chuck, we've got a scenario that you wouldn't believe. Explain this thing.
Well, Mike, seems that we have a tie for the overall win here at the World Finals. Larry Rippenkroger, the Ripper, and Chris Williams, known as Crash, are tied for the points. That means Rippenkroger now has probably won the overall title for the World Championship, but here for the World Finals, we got a tie, and that's going to mean a 1-minute ski-off between these two competitors.
Kind of like sudden death overtime, if you will, ladies and gentlemen. In this case, it looks like Williams was the Ripper and Rippenkroger was the crasher on this one. When he crashed into that second jet ski, do you think he has time to go get a volunteer to give him another jet ski in this 1-minute ski-off?
Would you volunteer to loan Larry a ski?
With all due respect, he's a good friend, but I'm sorry, I couldn't do it. So this is Williams out in the water right now. He has 1 minute to strut his stuff.
They're checking the nose of Larry's ski to see if he busted the nose of it when he poked a hole in the other one. It looks like the ski may be all right. They've checked it over down on the beach. But Chris Crash Williams from Millbrae, California, out on the water, a 1-minute ski-off. Talk about action-packed. Now you've got to do everything in 1 minute.
And here he comes, and he goes right into the bulldog. Look at the whitewater flies. He heads for the shoreline and bulldogs it to the left. Big spray of whitewater. Boy, this guy's he's pulling out all the punches, Chuck. In 1 minute, he's got to let it all go.
There's no tomorrow. He's got to do it now.
Ties with Larry Rippenkroger, which forces a ski-off here at Lake Havasu City, Arizona. He's now down to about the final 30 seconds. What's he going to do? In front of the judges, Broncos it into a submarine.
And brings it out 180.
And into a stall. He's pulling off every imaginable maneuver.
Less than 15 seconds.
Into a 360 tailspin. Larry Rippenkroger on the shore looks a little perplexed. His boat may have a hole in it, and he crashed a hole into Roscoe, so... Oh, and he goes into a backflip dismount.
What an ending for the routine for the Crash, Chris Williams.
Larry Rippenkroger may have to go out and do a one-ski finale here. He's talking it over right now with some of the people on the shoreline. What does he do? He's getting a new game plan together.
Yep, he's down there discussing it with his mechanic, Roscoe, whose whole hull now has a hole in it, and the other freestyle competitor, Chip Gillum. Scores from our judges look pretty good, Mike.
That's going to be tough to beat.
A 9.5, a 9.7, a 9.7, a 9.8, and a 9.6. Great scores for Chris Crash.
Chris Williams with a score of 48.3. That is now the score to beat. But let's take another look, Chuck, at Larry's attempted submarine under that jet ski.
Well, you can see where he set up for it, Mike, but this nose of the ski just did not go down in the water. Right here, he gets the high hop, but the ski skips. It doesn't sink. He rams the side of the ski, pops a nice big hole right below the bond line.
Well, there'll be some glassing going on this. By glassing, they mean the fiberglass they work with. They'll get a repair kit out and fix that. Larry, we should clarify, has already wrapped up the world title. At stake here is the event title.
This will be Larry's second World Freestyle Championship that he's won here this weekend, but he would still like to win the overall title here at Lake Havasu this weekend.
All right, the Ripper from Sacramento, California. You heard Chuck say earlier, this will be his last full year on the tour. He's retiring at the end of 1989. Look at that one-handed bring around into a small stall. He's got a game plan here. He's got a trick up his sleeve. Something's going to happen.
He's got to do something extraordinary. Whips it 180 in the air, lands it out on the tail.
Not only in the air, but got about 6 feet in the air, which reminds me, you'll still see the ramp jump come up a little bit later on. Roscoe slowly working that jet ski out into the competition area. Great submarine, got good air going into it.
Big submarine, got deep.
Okay, here it is. He's down to about 20 seconds. I think he tried to do it earlier. Here comes, is he going to submarine and go into? Well, first of all, down to his knees. Rolls the jet ski, 15 seconds to go. Larry staring at that jet ski. He better make the maneuver quick if he's going to use that second ski. He's going to run out of time, Chuck.
Time ticking down. Joe Lizet holding the red flag high in the air. Submarines, oh!
I'll tell you what went wrong here. Larry Rippenkroger simply mistimed that submarine. He got the nose of the jet ski up in the air too early, and by that time you can see where it came to rest. And now the current and the reigning world freestyle champion kind of laughing and giggling about it, figuring it's too late to do anything now.
The log jump takes its toll again. And is he a crowd favorite, Mike?
Oh, they love him. They love him all over the world.
Larry takes the drive down toward the tires, and he goes to do the submarine, but he has the same problem he did when he tried to submarine the jet ski. The ski stays flat, doesn't nose over into the water, and he ends up impaling himself on the jump. Score for Larry Rippenkroger, a 47.6.
But Chuck, Larry is the overall freestyle world champion for the second time, but Chris Williams wins today here at Lake Havasu. Let's go down to Dave Stanfield.
Congratulations going to Chris Crash Williams. Chris, first of all, Crash, no crashing out there. Great routine. 2 minutes, you pulled off every move?
Not every move, but I felt really confident today. Being the water, it's a little flatter than last year. So I'm real happy with the win.
Now, a lot of the focus wasn't on you because you were going over for the overall world title. That might have helped today?
Well, it was between me and Scott for third, so I knew I wanted to hold on to that spot since I held it all season. And I really didn't have a shot for the title because of the points. So really happy with the win today and holding on to my third place as well.
The toughest move you did out there, looking at it one more time, what was it? What do you call it?
It had to have been the aerial nosedive that I did going into the submarine, which worked out pretty well.
The crowd loved it. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Chris Crash Williams, the World Finals champion here in freestyle.
And if you sense a little bit of crowd excitement, here's the reason why.
Well, the World Finals is the biggest prestigious race there is in the world of jet skiing, and there's so many elements that come into play there. I mean, you've got a lot of pressure on you with all the people there and the TV and everything else, and if you ever want to have a good showing, that's where you want to do it, that's for sure.
goes 45 miles an hour and travels 80 to 90 feet in the air. It's a jet ski off the ramp here at Lake Havasu City, Arizona. This really ignites the people on the beach.
This has got to be just the highlight of the whole weekend, Mike. Flying a 250-pound jet ski off a 6-foot-tall water ski ramp, 91 feet, the world record, and it's held by Dave the Flash Gordon. $3,000 in prize money, $2,000 of it going to the competitors in the ramp jump, and $1,000 to the man that can break 91 feet and take home a new world record.
Now this is David Gordon on his practice jump earlier today at 58 feet. This is obviously a sport that takes a lot of skill, and we talked to David about how you take on the ramp.
How you survive it is you basically, I'm tempted to just close my eyes and go over it, but I don't do that. You just try and hit the ramp as straight as possible. It scares me to death. It's like riding up against a brick wall. I mean, when you're approaching this thing at 50 miles an hour, now I notice they have it painted yellow and blue, so it doesn't look quite as much like a brick wall as it did in years past, but they used to have it painted red, and it's like, what am I doing? You know, driving against this wall, this is crazy. But you just want to hit it as straight as possible so that you don't end up exiting the ramp sideways.
The ramp jump, by the way, is by invitation only, folks. The top pros compete in this event, including the international competitors. And if they look a little bit nervous, some of these guys are making the ramp jump for the very first time here today. But this is going to be the practice jump of Minuku Kanamori, the Japanese national champion.
Mike, let's take a look at the replay of Minuku's first ever try at going over the ramp jump. He got a great run, went a little sideways. 57 feet was his jump, but he didn't stay in the tray, and this was only practice.
Okay, here we go. Minuku Kanamori, the Japanese national champion. This guy's pumped. Look at the speed. Can he land it? Oh, he pulls it out.
And he rides it out, Mike, and that was a long jump. Remember, $1,000 to the man that breaks the record, 91 feet.
It's held by David Flash Gordon, and we'll await the word on how far this was. But let's take a look at it again, Chuck, as he set up great acceleration. He bends his knees. They are his only shock absorbers at that point. And as he hit the top of the ramp, what happened?
Oh, look at this, Mike. He comes down, makes the run off the top of the ramp. The ski stays smooth and flat in the water. He's got the proper positioning, hits the water, and rides it out. What a fantastic.
He could be our top gun here today. Let's see how far it was. Well, it turns out, Chuck, it was only 59 feet, far short of the 91-foot world record by David Gordon, but it looked like he was really flying to me.
That can show you, Mike, just how far 91 feet is.
Okay, in the water right now from Australia, Todd Ross. He's jumped some waves in Australia, and it is a safe jump, although a short one, and finally lost control. Red flag, no good.
No good, Mike. The feet come out of the tray. Todd gets a good clean run at the jump. Up and over the ramp he goes, but he backed off the throttle just before he got there. That's going to slow his momentum down. And then as he hits the water, the ski just turns sideways.
Here comes Art Chambers. We'll see if he can improve on that 50-foot record here today so far. Oh, I can't believe he pulled that one out, Chuck. He got way back on the tail of that thing.
Tail of that ski sunk way deep in the air, and that's where the impact was on the water, but he seemed to have rode it out in good fashion.
Here comes Larry Rippenkroger from Sacramento, California. The man to beat so far was the first jumper, Minuku Kanamori. Here's Larry, had a poor showing last year. Oh, he's got it flying. There we talk about dynamics and aerodynamics. He had the ski perfectly level that time, Chuck.
That was a good jump. The distance is what's going to be important, but he kept the ski flat so it just sails through the air and just drops out nice and clean, hits the water. Larry rides it out, makes it look like no problems.
Well, the jump by Larry Rippenkroger, good for 52 feet. That ties him with Art Chambers for second place. And Chuck, as Chris Fischetti makes his way to the entryway, talk about the criteria. How do they actually judge the distance on this?
It's done by triangulation, Mike. We have three plotters or three spotters down on the beach.
that triangulate the landing point. It sends the information, degrees are sent to the plotting table. The plotting table plots it all out, and that determines the distance. And it's set up by the American Water Ski Association, who record championship jumps for water skis.
Chris Fischetti jumps waves in California. No, get away from the jet ski.
Broke the handle pole, Mike.
It came right off the handlebars, came right off the jet ski. And there's a good case. His hand goes up, and he is a lucky young jumper today here, I'll tell you that. We talked about it earlier. Get away from the ski when it goes sideways. He tried to ride it out. Chuck, take a look at this again.
Oh, this is just incredible. He gets a good, clean run at the ramp. He's really moving good. Up the ramp he goes, but as he hits the top of the ramp, the ski just starts spinning sideways on him. It comes around 180 degrees. Chris hangs on as he hits the water, and you see the handle pole snap.
On deck is the world champion, David Flash Gordon. He holds the world record of 91 feet set in 1986 in Florida. And as he makes his way out to the entryway, we'll tell you that Chris Fischetti had a long jump and went 77 feet, Chuck. The bad news is he did not land safely.
No, he didn't pull it out, Mike. 77 feet, by far the best jump out here. But I've got to say that it wasn't a wise maneuver to ride that ski out. He should have let go and got away from it.
Manuku Kanamori is the leader with 59 feet. We have two tied at 52 feet. Here comes the world champion, David Flash Gordon. Oh, yes! Oh, and the red flag comes out. They rule it an incomplete jump. Let the crowd tell you how they feel about it.
They're talking about it, though. The officials are down there talking about it. A couple of them were right next to the ski while he was in the water.
You know, it actually looks like he came out safely and lost it after he had completed the jump and was turning around.
The rule is, Mike, you have to keep your feet in the tray and ride it out. That's the rule.
And the final word on the jump, it was 75 feet. Far short, 16 feet of his world record of 91. But nonetheless, it will not count for David Gordon.
Here's one more look. You at home are going to have to call for yourselves. Jeff Jacobs, the only jumper left, and he'd like to win the ramp jump.
He doesn't know what losing is about. There's no question about it. And he would now like to jump a little bit further than 59 feet to take the lead away from Minoko Kanamori. Here he goes. Can he do it? Oh, no way! He goes completely sideways and just became a cork in the water. At one point, he is floating in the water. He's hurting, Chuck.
Jacobs makes the run at the ramp, gets a real clean run. Up the ramp he goes, but then the ski just completely turns over on its side. Jacobs has to hit the water real hard.
Minoko Kanamori, at 59 feet, the national Japanese champion.
Isn't this incredible, Mike? The Japanese national champion comes to Lake Havasu, the first time he's encountered ramp jumping, and he goes home with the 1989 ramp jump championship.
What I liked about the sport is that it's just so safe. You know, jet skiing is just one of the safest sports that there is, you know. To where you're going 50 miles an hour on a jet ski, you're riding wide open, over your head, whammo, you're in the water, and you come up smelling like roses.
The World Jet Ski Finals are brought to you by Mariner Performance, the industry leader in jet ski products. By Kawasaki, let the good times roll. And sanctioned by the International Jet Ski Boating Association. Welcome back, everybody, to Lake Havasu City, Arizona. I'm Mike Chamberlain, and I'm standing next to some of the hard hitters of the sport of professional jet skiing. Down on the far left here is David Gordon, a big win in the Pro Modified today, and you edge out Jeff Jacobs by, just tweaked him.
That's right, just barely, actually. I felt really good. Fortunately, I got the whole shot thanks to Recreation World and West Coast. They gave me a lot of horsepower to deal with, and made the race pretty easy to win because I was out in front. But it was a close race, the whole race, and I'm really happy.
Okay, good way to wrap up the 80s in 1989 for David Gordon. To my right is Larry Rippenkroger. A great win in the freestyle today, but I've got the evidence, my friend. I got some fiberglass from the hole you took out of that second jet ski. Was that choreographed, or how did this whole thing? You keep this. It's evidence for you.
Well, thank you, Mike. That was a little bit of a miscue. I should have been a little more conservative going in after I pulled off a good trick going under the log jump there, but the crowd was cheering, and I wanted to take a risk, and it didn't pay off that time.
And they brought you back for an encore to top it all off. Larry, word is you're retiring. This is the last year of professional competition.
Yeah, probably semi-retiring is a better word for it. I'm still going to be heavily involved in the sport and do some racing when I can, but there's a lot of other opportunities for me I'm going to start looking into and going after.
All right, you've been a joy to work with all these years, but the man of the hour, 3-time world champion is Jeff Jacobson. Jeff, you've got to be a happy young man right now. 3 world titles.
Yeah, I don't think I can be happier than this because I've finally done something that these 2 individuals here haven't done, and it feels really good.
I assume you you end out the 80s with 3 wins. I assume you'll be back in 1990 to defend it for a 4th time.
Oh yeah, next year's going to be hotter than ever. I think the level of competition is growing each year, and I think it's going to be really hard to come back next year and retain it. And, you know, I'm just going to go until somebody knocks me off. That's all it
Okay, but
takes.
if you remember, folks, that's what he said last year, too. So for all the guys here today, and David Stanfield and Chuck Kuntz, I'm Mike Chamberlain. Thanks for being with us today from Lake Havasu City, Arizona. We say bye-bye from the World Jet Ski Finals. So long, everybody.